teams of professionals to fight your claim. If you want to know what your case is really worth, I'm Spencer Callahan. I'd like to help.
Spencer Callahan is the one to see. Call 387-2323.
WNXX, Jackson, KNXX, Donaldsonville, and WDGL HD2 Baton Rouge. This hour brought to you by Spencer Callahan Injury Lawyers, LA 21-12681. Offices in Baton Rouge. Now, The Hunt Palmer Show. You are now listening to The Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Locking down the middle of the day. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studios. This is Hunt Palmer.
Hunt Palmer coming to you from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio downtown in the capital city on this Tuesday. It means we're brought to you by Plucker's Wing Bar, 2 locations here in Baton Rouge, Nicholson just south of campus, and on Bluebonnet in front of the Mall of Louisiana. Got Jacob Beck back there on the ones and twos. Also got Jordan Kitchens back there on the ones and twos. I will not mention how ugly Jordan's hat is today. It's a St. Louis Cardinals hat. It offends my sensibilities greatly. I'm not going to mention that on the air. Wouldn't even think about mentioning on the air how ugly that hat is.
I think you just did, though.
But we won't hold it against him for the next 2 hours because we got a lot to do here on this Tuesday. Sharif Ishak's going to be with us at the bottom of hour number 1 at 1:30, talking all things Saints and Pels. Joe Burrow back in action. Jay Johnson had his coach's show last night. What did he say in preparation for tonight's game with Northwestern State? Got some post-spring SEC power rankings from someone other than me in the football sense. We'll talk about that in hour number 2 as well. So lots and lots to get to here on this Tuesday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. News in Saints land last night, or maybe outside of Saints land last night, as Andrus Peat, it was announced, has inked a free agent deal with the Las Vegas Raiders, which means his time in New Orleans is done. Now, the terms and conditions of that contract have not been made available or official to this point, so I can't speak to that side of it, but this is kind of two-pronged. One, what does it mean for the New Orleans Saints? And two, what about Andrus Peat's run in New Orleans? We'll start with that. The Saints used the 13th pick in the first round of the 2015 draft on Andrus Peat. And being that the draft is right in the rearview mirror, this current one here in 2024, you realize that when you pick in the first round, like, you're looking for a starter. You're looking for an impact guy. And you'd really love it if you got a star. But that doesn't always happen. You don't always get a starter. And when you draft Andrus Peat, he had all the makings of a star. He was a former 5-star recruit, one of the top tackles available coming out of high school. Got the pedigree of a dad who played in the NFL. He goes to Stanford, is a standout there, an All-American, plays there for 3 years, and moves on. And the Saints take him with the 13th pick. And I think if you ask most Saints fans, was the Andrus Peat's pick in the first round a success? I think the knee-jerk reaction would be, no. Took him as a left tackle. He couldn't play left tackle. Guy didn't play all that well, and that's, I think most fans probably feel that way. But if you just step back and kind of remove emotion from the entire deal, you got a guy who played in 111 games, had 102 starts, and 3 Pro Bowls over 9 seasons. I know Pro Bowls are not what they once were. Everybody opts out. You got alternates. It's not necessarily the highest honor in the sport anymore. But if you tell me that you're going to take a player in the first round and you're going to get 9 seasons out of that player and 102 starts, that's pretty good. Now, you thought he was going to be your left tackle, and it turns out he spent the vast majority of his time in New Orleans as the left guard. But hey, you need a left guard, and he was a serviceable player. I think this, while not a slam dunk, not a guy who's going to the Saints Ring of Honor, not a guy who was a contributor on a championship team, was a solid contributor for you as a first-round selection. In this past year, when nobody could hold down the left tackle spot and it was a revolving door and you were signing guys who were out of the league to try to come in and give you some sort of help on the offensive line, you tapped Andrus Peat on the shoulder and said, hey, man, go play left tackle. And he wasn't the first team All-Pro. He wasn't a Pro Bowler. But he was serviceable and was part of that offensive line over the back half of the season, solidifying to a point where the Saints offense found something. The Saints offense found basically nothing in September and October. They found something around Thanksgiving and were a better team, and Andrus Peat was a big part of that. And we have talked about this Saints offensive line ad nauseum over the last 2 months. We have had people come on and talk about the Saints offensive line, and basically the consensus, whether it was Sean Fazan, Sharif Ishak, Luke Johnson, whoever we've talked about from a Saints perspective, has basically said, they need to sign Andrus Peat back. And while exercising an option on a rookie first rounder for a fifth year is your prerogative and your ability to do so, and the team's right, once you become a free agent, it's not that easy anymore. And Andrus Peat was going to have other suitors. And so if this is a one-year prove-it deal with the Raiders for, I use air quotes here, an insignificant amount of money, then I think it was probably a mistake for the Saints not to jump in and make that happen. But if this is a 3-year deal, what have we talked about? I'm not really all that interested. You'll figure it out in 2024. You'll figure it out up front. You're not going to be a great team. And I'm not going to saddle the 2025 and 2026 Saints with an aging Andrus Peat, and certainly not a guy that I'm going to find a way to dump extra money on as the contract moves along. Nope, not interested. Thanks. So what does that leave for New Orleans? Well, here's what you know about your offensive line. Eric McCoy is going to start at center, and Cesar Ruiz is going to start at right guard. And Taliesin Fuaga is very likely going to be a starter. If he's not, we've got another issue on our hands with an early draft pick. Those 3 guys are going to play and start. And whether Fuaga's at right tackle or left tackle remains to be seen. Those 3 guys, I feel like as we sit here in May, are in. You've got to find 2 other starters from this group of people. Ryan Ramczyk. The prevailing thought, the trending wisdom here is that maybe not this year, maybe not ever. But he's one guy. Trevor Penning. If you're sitting here going, well, Trevor Penning's now the left tackle, I would disagree. I'm not saying he can't be the left tackle. I'm not ready to just bestow that upon him because Andrus Peat's in Vegas. Work him out in OTAs. Get him reps in training camp. But I'm not telling you that that's locked in. Maybe he's the left guard, and that'd be okay. We just talked about that with Andrus Peat. You can tell me that Trevor Penning for the next 6 years is going to be your left guard and a solid one. We'll work with that. But he's in this group. I'm not going to be able to pronounce this name adequately, but we'll try. Ali Semika. Doesn't matter. I'm sorry, butchered the name. But you've signed him in free agency. Justin Herron, same deal. Those 2 guys are in this group of 5 players that need to fill 2 spots. And then you got Nick Saldiveri, who you drafted in the middle rounds last year. You got Landon Young, who you've had that's played a little bit here and there, especially in the absence of Ryan Ramczyk. And then you've got Josiah Ziram, who you took in the late rounds this year. That's kind of the group you have to work with right now. So some form or fashion, that group needs to become your first team offensive line. If it's Ryan Ramczyk at right tackle and Taliesin Fuaga at left tackle, and then Penning or Herring or Saldiveri playing left guard, okay. If Taliesin Fuaga is your right tackle because Ramczyk can't play, and you need to go sign a free agent or have Trevor Penning play left tackle, okay. Maybe Ali Semeka can help you with that as well. He's played tackle in his time. If you need to go find David Bakhtiari, okay. 1-year deal, fine. It's not a group that is going to inspire a lot of confidence, but it goes back to the same thing I've said over and over and over again. Put the patches on it for a year. It's a patchwork team. That's not going to make Dennis Allen happy. That's not going to make Derek Carr happy. It's probably not going to make Alvin Kamara very happy. It is what it is. I'm assuming when this comes out that Andrus Peat's going to have signed a 2 or 3 year deal. And while I don't think that would have been some sort of death knell to the Saints organization over the next 3 years, again, it's money that you can free up and use elsewhere. It's the first time the Saints may create some breathing room in their financial situation in 15 years. Again, Andrus Peat's not going to sign some massive deal, but every little bit helps while you try to hit this soft reset, and it is what it is. So again, it's not the most inspiring group in the world to tell you Taliesin Fuaga, Cesar Ruiz, Eric McCoy, Ali Asameka, and Landon Young are your offensive line with Trevor Penning. Who knows? But I could also paint a picture where it does look okay. I can paint a picture where Ryan Ramczyk is ready to go at right tackle, and Cesar Ruiz is ready to go at right guard, and Eric McCoy is your center, and then you got your 2 former first-round picks on the left side in Fuaga and Trevor Penning. And maybe that group blossoms and becomes a solid offensive line. It's not ideal, and I think there was a portion of us that thought that Andrus Peat would be back and they'd find a way to make him play the left tackle and kind of patch that hole, but he's moving on. So you got to find another way. And it'll be without Andrus Peat, who will move on to the Raiders. If you're looking for our Saints content, you can always find it. Hunt on Saints on YouTube. Like, subscribe, rate, review. All those subscriptions have helped us out a ton over the last year. Easy to get your Saints content in these digestible 10-minute segments. And if you subscribe to the channel, it'll show up right there on your homepage when you log into YouTube. So we certainly do appreciate that. Our Tuesday shows are brought to you by Pluckers. When we come back, we got some point spreads for LSU football games next year. Let's talk about it next.
You are now listening to The Hunt Palmer Show.
Audio Video Security Solutions, avssla.com. Always tell you about the security systems they can help you out with. Always tell you about the surround sound and home audio they can handle. They do great work with video as well. How about something that's as much fun or more fun than all of that? Golf simulators. If you're a golfer that wants to dabble into the golf simulator situation at your home, the folks at Audio Video Security Solutions can help you with that. They installed their first one about a month ago in one of their clients' homes, from the mat all the way through the actual simulator and the screen. Great way to work on your game, have some fun, create a man cave in your home. Audio Video Security Solutions can help you out with all of that. Check out some of their great work on Instagram, AVSS_BR. You can also give Mitchell Fisher a call. Say, hey, here's what I got. Can you help me with it? The answer, very likely, is going to be yes. You can get Mitchell at 225-439-7920. Again, 225-439-7920. It's Audio Video Security Solutions. You can find them online at avssla.com.
In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram is taking $11,000 off the new 23 Dodge Charger. We're open for business in our beautiful new showroom and taking $11,000 off the powerful new Charger. All new Bayou vehicles come with a 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
The best kept secret in town is out. Discover Tallulah at the Renaissance Hotel on Bluebonnet.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
Bayou Ford has the new inventory to get you in a new Ford truck or SUV today, or customize your next vehicle just the way you want it. All new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile powertrain warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
Yo, Jake here from my friends over at Community Steel Company located in Gonzales, Louisiana. The local place you can turn to for all of your metal building needs. Notice I said local, not Houston, not Dallas, not Atlanta, but right here in Gonzales. Visit them at their brand new state-of-the-art website at communitysteelco.com or pick up the phone and give them a call today to answer all of your questions on your metal buildings, roofing and sheet metal, and any other steel needs you or your business need at 225-647-2020.
When it comes to ending cancer, we push forward, always working together for you. That's why our cancer experts at Ochsner have clinically integrated with MD Anderson Cancer Center. This means advanced cancer care, including access to life-saving clinical trials and integrating care to treat the whole you. Introducing Ochsner MD Anderson Cancer Center. Long live you.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial property. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana.
Henniger, join us for the Wednesday edition of Live at Lunch from Modesto, Burbank at Nicholson. Scott Rabelais will be with us. Also, Wes Reynolds from VEASAN and professional sports handicapper Randy McKay. Live at Lunch, 11 a.m. Wednesday on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Plucker's Wing Bar.
I'll be at Plucker's tonight. Sports Trivia, 8:30 Nicholson location. We'll be watching LSU and Northwestern State. We'll be watching the Cubbies take on the Padres. NBA playoff action will be on as well. Come on out, grab a team, play some sports trivia tonight at Plucker's. Very much looking forward to sports trivia out of the Nicholson location, 8:30 tonight. Saw some DraftKings lines for LSU games in the fall on the gridiron, and wanted to discuss a few of them. If you follow us on Instagram at 1045 ESPN or on Twitter, you saw the graphic that we put up as well. And I just wanted to go through a few of these and give my gut reaction. Completely full disclosure, it is May. The transfer portal is not even done yet, and I have not taken the time, as I do every early July, to really read up on the teams around the conference. I know about as much about these teams as you do. Like, I have not done research, have not studied in. The point of this exercise in this segment here is purely to say, that's interesting for this reason or that reason, or I agree or disagree for that reason or this reason. Like, it's not going to be a deep dive into the right tackle situation at Florida, how the safeties are looking at Oklahoma, and what the running back rotation looks like for Arkansas, because I can't tell you any of that today as we sit here in May. That is way out over my skis. I just have a working knowledge of what the state of those programs has been recently. I know the quarterbacks for the most part, and so I'll just kind of dive into some of these numbers here, starting with the USC game, where LSU is a 6-point favorite over USC. That number surprises me a lot. LSU has gotten out of the blocks extremely poorly both years under Brian Kelly. You can suggest that that was expected in year one. I suggest it probably shouldn't have been in year two. We didn't know much about the defense at that point, and Florida State just dusted LSU in that game in Orlando. It was not nearly as close as the score would have even indicated. It was a blowout in the second half. And everyone feels like LSU is really struggling to figure out their defense at this point. You've had a complete overhaul of your staff. You've had no success in the transfer portal at defensive tackle. And I know that Caleb Williams is not there anymore, and I know that USC went 7-5, but Lincoln Riley still scores a lot of points. And so to lay 6 feels like a lot to me. Again, I don't know what USC's offensive line looks like. I don't know what they return on defense. I don't know if they've got a first-team All-American at wide receiver. Like, I don't know a ton about USC's personnel. I just know what that program is going to be built on, which is Lincoln Riley's offense. I know what LSU is trying to address frantically, and that's defense. And to have a 6-point number seems like a lot to me. LSU hosts Ole Miss this coming year. Tigers 2.5-point favorites there. That surprises me because I feel like Ole Miss is everybody's darling, at this point. And so to have LSU favored in that game without Jaden Daniels and without Brian Thomas and without Malik Neighbors surprises me a little bit, knowing what Lane Kiffin and Jackson Dart did to that LSU defense last year, which was score 7,000 points. I'm a little bit surprised at that number as well. I'm also surprised at the next number, which is LSU at Arkansas, LSU laying 8 points on the road. I think LSU is going to destroy Arkansas. Arkansas loses KJ Jefferson. They've got a new offense they're going to put in with Bobby Petrino. They've got a quarterback who's coming from Boise State, who I've seen tape of. Doesn't look that good to me. I think their personnel stinks. Sam Pittman has lost a ton from the transfer portal. I think Arkansas is going to be atrocious. I don't think there's any way Sam Pittman is around for Thanksgiving. And I think LSU is going to go up to Arkansas and crush them. I'd lay the 8 points and wouldn't think twice about it at this point. Would not think twice about it. I guess if I tried to talk myself out of it, I could suggest Sam Pittman usually has a pretty good offensive line. They'll run the ball at a depleted LSU defensive line and keep it close. Sorry, I think Arkansas's program's in a disastrous shape. A&M will host LSU at Kyle Field. They are a 3-point favorite over LSU. That one sounds about right. I think in year one of Mike Elko at College Station, I think they've got a good quarterback, but they may have some issues with the depth of their program. LSU, I think they're about on level playing field with Texas A&M, knowing what we know about LSU's defense. I think that being basically a pick 'em that you give A&M 3 points for Kyle Field, that one sounds right. I think that the USC one I'm a little struggling with. Ole Miss I'm struggling with a little bit. Arkansas I think is wrong. This one I think checks out. Then we go to LSU and Alabama. That game is in Tiger Stadium this coming year. And they got LSU as a 1-point favorite. That surprises me, and I'm curious about people betting on Alabama because we know that in the Saban era, Bama's been a huge public team. People feel comfortable laying whatever amount of points they're laying with Alabama as long as Nick Saban has the headset. I'm curious if that flips with Kalen DeBoer. Do people feel like, Saban's not there anymore, not the same Bama, I'll go the other way? Because it almost like makes my eyes itch to look at the number next to Alabama and see -1 next to LSU. Like, no one's ever favored against Alabama. Only Georgia is ever favored against Alabama. So to see LSU as a favorite there, even though if you consider the point spread being shifted because LSU's at home, means if it's just -1 that Vegas thinks that Alabama's got a better team, still, LSU's favored. You just never see that. So we'll see. I'm curious, as everybody else is, to see what Kalen DeBoer can do in his first year at Alabama. At Florida, LSU is a 5.5-point favorite. This is going to be a very, very, very popular refrain in, I think, Dallas this coming year for SEC Media Days. I think that's where Media Days is this year. Dallas, Texas, with Oklahoma and Texas coming in.
Dallas.
It's going to be a very popular refrain. Florida stinks. Napier's fired. They got nothing. And I don't totally disagree with that. I do believe that this will be Billy Napier's last year in Gainesville. I also believe that Graham Mertz is functional. I didn't say great. I didn't say a Heisman dark horse. I didn't see first team all league. I think he's functional. And they've got a couple of good playmakers on the outside. And Napier, in his career, has been a pretty good offensive coach. So they got defensive problems for sure. And they got culture problems and fan base interest problems. So problems aplenty in Gainesville at this point. 5.5. That one I can probably get on board with. I'd have a hard time hammering LSU in the swamp, laying 5.5. Seems like a lot. Seems like a number that I could get on board with. The last one surprises me a little bit too. Oklahoma coming to Baton Rouge. And let me tell you this just straight up. I'm excited for that game. I don't know what LSU's record is going to be at that point. I don't know what Oklahoma's record is going to be at that point. I don't know what's going to be on the line, whether it's a trip to Atlanta for the SEC Championship game, potential playoff berths. I'm not sure. But it's going to be cool to be inside Tiger Stadium when that historic program comes out of that end zone. I've, for decades now, literally, watched Florida and Alabama come out of that tunnel. I've watched Georgia and Tennessee and Texas A&M come out of that tunnel. I've seen Ole Miss and Arkansas, and you know. And I've watched Notre Dame coming out of that tunnel. I've watched West Virginia come out of that tunnel. But to see Oklahoma, when in my time here as an LSU fan, media member, I've watched LSU play Oklahoma in New Orleans for a national championship. I watched LSU play Oklahoma in Atlanta for a Final Four game, but never inside Tiger Stadium. And it's going to be a cool environment, literally and figuratively, with the weather the last weekend of the year. And that's just going to be a really cool setting that I'm very much looking forward to. And when I say that, that's one of the things that I don't despise about conference realignment. I've watched Auburn come out of that tunnel for years, and I would love it if we played them again this year. But Oklahoma and Auburn, I can give and take there. Like, it is what it is. It's a historic program. It's got a lot of really good players. Should be a great environment. Let LSU go out there and play inside Tiger Stadium. I don't hate the fact that Auburn's out and Oklahoma's in. I just think it's cool. Now, you tell me that LSU is going to play half of their games in Eugene, Oregon, Columbus, Ohio, State College, Pennsylvania, and Madison, Wisconsin, and it's that far away, and you feel kind of detached from it. That I might push back on a little bit if it's the majority of your schedule. But we still have a regional feel to it, and I could get to Norman, Oklahoma if I needed to. But the line on the game is 5, LSU being favored. And, again, I don't know a ton about what Oklahoma is. I know they've got a new quarterback that they're bringing in. And I know that Brent Venables did a better job in year 2 than he did in year 1. But that line feels about right at 5. LSU's a little bit better and gets a couple points at home. So I don't have hot takes on what side I would be taking here or there other than the Arkansas game, because I think that LSU should win that game by 20. But outside of that, it feels about right. I think the Florida line feels about right. I think the A&M game line feels about right. I think the Ole Miss line feels about right, even though I'm a little surprised by it. I also think that laying 6 with LSU against SC is something I'm not willing to do today. I'm confident there are a bunch of you people out there that have already fired up the apps and placed money on LSU in the opener, because that's what fans do. Gotten burned on that 5 years in a row, but it just feels like the play. I'm not as comfortable doing that right out of the chute.
So just to add on to what we were talking about with Alabama, about wondering how people will go in terms of betting on the team, just a couple of other lines that they have. So one interesting one, or most interesting one to me.
Let me guess. No, give me the team and let me guess the line. Okay,
Georgia. At This is in Tuscaloosa.
That game's in Tuscaloosa. I would say Georgia's a 5-point favorite.
4.5. And their season opener against Wisconsin, they're 7.5-point favorites in that one.
Is that game neutral site somewhere?
It's a neutral site. They are 2-point favorites.
7.5?
Yeah, 7.5.
Give me the Tide.
Yeah.
Sorry. Wisconsin's no thanks.
But again, I think that just goes to the fact that it seems like
that line would have been 16.
16,
if Saban was there.
Yeah, and then Alabama at Knoxville, 2-point favorites.
Whoa. Okay.
Yep. 8.5-point favorites at home against Missouri, and then the LSU line, of course, and then they're 1.5-point favorites at Oklahoma, which is interesting.
It is, because LSU. Well, I guess that's the home and away.
Yeah.
So yeah,
and then the last one at Tuscaloosa, they're playing Auburn, the Iron Bowl. They're 15-point favorites.
Whoa, that was bigger. I was going to say something closer to 9. So yeah, okay, all right. Well, that's some early betting lines in college football. Give me your thoughts in the Bayou Ford chat over on YouTube, and we'll get to a few of those. Let's step away. When we come back, Sharif Ishak, usually with us in hour 2, going to join us in hour number 1. Talk some Saints and Pels. That's next.
You are now listening to the Hunt Palmer Show.
Football season's coming up in the fall. You know what that means. Storm season as well. Be protected and give yourself some peace of mind knowing your power's not going to go out, courtesy of the folks at Boudreaux's Electric. Boudreaux's Electric is a certified Generac generator dealer. They're a premier Generac generator dealer. It's an easy process with Boudreaux's. You give them a call. They come out, send one of their full-time employees who's a tech, and they assess your needs. How many square feet do you have? What do you need powered in the event of an outage? And then they'll customize a generator for you. Not everybody needs the exact same Generac generator. Just depends on what you need done. Once they got that figured out, they're going to send that full-time employee back out, going to install that generator with the highest quality in piping, tubing, copper, and they're going to do most of that installation underground, so it's not an eyesore sitting outside of your home or your business. And when that storm rolls through, it's inevitable. It's going to happen down here. You're protected from power outages at your home. Whether you're there or you evacuated. Either way, it's very, very important. Give my friends at Boudreaux's Electric a call. It's 985-397-1562. Again, 985-397-1562. That is Boudreaux's Electric.
Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram is taking $11,000 off the new 23 Dodge Charger. We're open for business in our beautiful new showroom and taking $11,000 off the powerful new Charger. All new Bayou vehicles come with a 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps are held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
BRAC teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. BRAC, your #1 park system in the nation.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way.
Matt Moscona inviting you to join us for Tuesday's AFR, powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana. Shay Dixon stops by for his weekly visit, and we'll preview LSU Northwestern State from the box. Join us 3 to 6, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Plucker's Wing Bar.
Moving right along here on a Tuesday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. Hope your work week is off to a good start. Usually have our guy Sharif Ishak talking all things New Orleans at the bottom of hour number 2. Instead, it's the bottom of hour number 1 on this Tuesday. Head out to Jim's Firearms Hotline, talk to Sharif. How are you, sir?
Feeling great after we beat that phony school in the state west of us.
We're talking college baseball now? Big baseball guy now that the Pels are done and the Saints don't play for forever?
Yeah, I'm just paying attention to, when we beat teams that, I don't like.
Yes.
A lot.
Well, you have to pull for them now this weekend. So that's the tough part.
I can't do that. Who are they playing?
They're playing at Ole Miss.
Oh, okay.
Now you're in?
Never.
I've sold you on
Never
that?
pulling for them. Never pulling for them. I don't
Gig 'em,
really
baby.
care what happens.
Love the Ags. Whoop! All right, pulling for them big time. Got the yell leaders out this weekend. They're blowing bubbles. Very much looking forward to it. How do you summarize Andrus Peat's career as a Saint?
Lightning rod for criticism for most of it, but he played well last year. When they needed him, last season because the line was falling apart, he stepped up. I give him credit. Played everywhere. Played at left tackle. Was amazing at that position whenever they had him there. But early in his career, he was often injured, often not great, and was always criticized. And rightfully so. When you're the 13th overall pick in the draft, you should be better than some of the production you had for that offensive line. I will say, and before he left, some of the last few years, he played some of his better ball, especially last season. But I would say way more downs than ups, and that's fair to say.
Well, let's talk about the Saints offensive line without Andrus Peat now. You got McCoy and Ruiz, who are kind of anchored in there as starters. You've drafted Taliesin Fuaga. You've brought in a couple of veteran free agents. You've got some youth in Saldiveri and Young. You got uncertainty in Ramchick and Penning. Where is this offensive line right now?
It's a head scratcher, Hunt. It really is. I don't know. I don't know how this is going to play out. I mean, outside of the three guys that you just said, that's your three guys, your core three right there. But then the other two are like just as important. I don't know how they're going to figure it out. I don't know. It just doesn't feel like Ryan Ramczyk is going to come back. It's just the injury just to me just seems it's too bad. It hasn't progressed. And then Trevor Penning, will he be kicked inside, or do they still see him as a tackle? That's some of the interesting stuff we'll see this offseason. And this is it for him, honestly. I mean, I thought last year might have been it for him. This year is going to have to be the year. Can he be salvageable in some capacity for that offensive line, because they're going to need him? Yeah, they brought in a couple of veterans. They drafted Izirum late in the draft, but they still need to get some of the other guys involved as well. Like you said, Saldiveri, Young was solid at points and times in the season, but it's a head scratcher, Hunt. I mean, outside of those three guys that you have, the rest of it is, man, who knows?
Do you think the offseason approach this year, where they've been cautious with their free agents, they haven't mortgaged the future in the draft, is going to negatively impact Dennis Allen's tenure here? Like, do you think that this is kind of the beginning of the end for him?
I think it's the beginning of the end of pushing contracts kicking the can down the road. That's what I think that is. Win or loss, meaning for Dennis, he's on the hot seat, man. He's on the hot seat regardless if they would have done all this or not. But I think they're trying to, fix the books, as they would say, just trying to get things in order for the future and not continue to have this monster, salary cap every year. They want to make sure they get themselves in a good spot in years to come. And I think this is the right move. Don't spend a lot of money. Don't, kick guys' contracts down the road. Don't make them signing bonuses. You see, they didn't touch Alvin Kamara, Taysom Hill. There are a lot of guys that didn't take the contracts they didn't touch because they think maybe they're not part of the future. And they're going to just keeping on and just trying to continue to make that salary cap better for the future and trying to, get themselves in good shape to get some free agents down the line.
Is there a position or two you think they'll target in free agency starting now that the draft's in the rearview mirror and Pete's moved on?
I think, I wouldn't be surprised if they continue going for offensive line. Safety be another position. I would say maybe another receiver. I think they're fine. They're fine a lot of the other positions, tight end. But, I mean, offensive, defensive linemen, and safety to me would probably be the positions I would look closely at.
Sharif Ishak's our guest, WDSU down in New Orleans. Let's shift gear over to the Pelicans. Brandon Ingram, $50 million a year. Is that going to happen?
No, I don't think so. I just don't see it. And, just listening to him talk last week, I mean, he took the accountability and the blame for how that, that stretch those last 2 weeks went for the Pelicans. You can't. I mean, it'd be, fiscally irresponsible to do something like that. I do think that they're going to try to trade him. They're going to do their best to try to trade him and get the highest value in return as possible. But it might take throwing a Dyson in there and some picks and Jordan Hawkins. It may take a big package with Ingram, which is crazy to think. I still think he can thrive in the league on another team. So maybe, eye of the beholder. Maybe someone says, yeah, we want him. We want to, give you this guy and that guy. But I think if you're seeing a lot of Darius Garland and Jared Allen for Brandon Ingram, that isn't going to happen that easily. You probably have to throw in a few other guys and picks to make that happen. I think that would be an amazing trade for the Pelicans in order to move the franchise in the right direction.
You think CJ gets moved?
I think, like I told you last week, the three guys I think that they're going to build around are Zion, Trey, and Herb. I do think Trey is going to get his contract extension. I mean, he's on the fringe. I think CJ is on the fringe. They could find a decent deal. I think they would do it. But then you lose your veteran leader. You really don't want to get rid of your veteran leader. I think. I mean, they keep him. He might be the guy who's coming off the bench next year if they, break up the core, as they would say, and add other positions and other, point guards and big guys. So he might be the one coming off the bench if he doesn't get traded. And I think making that much money, I don't know if he's going to be bothered by that or not, but I think he'd maybe accept that role in this time in his career. But he's on the fringe to me. He's on the fringe. If they can find a deal, they might do it.
How does the city feel about Zion today?
Love him. Love him. They love the way he dedicated himself this season, bought into the city. His maturity, became a professional, and they saw it all. They saw that he wanted to be here and be on the court. I'll give you an example, Hunt. Last year when he got hurt, didn't talk. He gets hurt this year at the end of the season and wants to talk. Talked a couple of times, before, and that just shows you the maturity and becoming a professional. And he did a good job of taking care of his body. I know people would say, well, you hurt his hamstring again. Got to get back to the chalkboard and find a way to, avoid that hamstring injury and avoid hamstring injuries for the future. There's probably more work to be done there, and he knows that. He knows that he feels like he let his team down, just like Brandon Ingram says he felt like he let the team down. Zion did too. He says, he took responsibility for it. He felt horrible not being able to play in that playoff series. So yeah, loved. I would say it's a 180 from last year.
Does the success of championship run from the Milwaukee Bucks, the success that we're seeing out of Minnesota right now, Oklahoma City being the 1 seed, all these very small markets, does that resonate in New Orleans going, we could do this if we just get it right?
Yeah, I think the comparison was Oklahoma City because they started doing the same type of build at the same time as the Pelicans, and it looked like it worked out for one team, and it really hasn't worked out for the other team. Oklahoma City, just the amount of talent they were able to draft. I know SGA was going to trade for Paul George, but man, he's bought in so much, and the players around him have really bought in. And the draft, I mean, the draft they've had in years, Sam Presti has done an amazing job putting that team together. Yeah, I think they have to look at that blueprint and say, look, we've got to be on the same page as these small market teams, and we have to get it right. And to me, I don't think the Pelicans need to do it entirely through the draft because some of these draft picks aren't playing if they're drafting. They don't, like Jordan Hawkins didn't really play this year, but they've got to find a way to get some young veterans in there. It has to be done through trade. Only way this is going to thrive is through trade to me.
When do you think that's going to be most likely to happen?
I would say July 1st is when it all starts. I mean, you'll see what happens with Brandon Ingram. If they do give him an extension, I don't see the $50 million extension. If he does accept an extension, I think it's less. And with that, if you accept it in the first week of July, you have the possibility of trading him by the All-Star break if it goes south again. But to me, I think they're going to try to explore it. I mean, they're going to do it as best as possible. And the way David Griffin said it during the exit interviews, it seems like it's that time to start exploring making this team better with some of these players not being on this team.
All right, get your Texas A&M gear out, get your Yell Leader costume ready to go, and get it ready for this weekend.
Can I have one yell?
Yeah.
Go. Not me. You're good at it.
All I do is whoop! Whoop!
That's it, man. That's all we need. If it's
Thumbs
a college
up.
station, hopefully some Ole Miss guys are there like fratting it out, throwing beers.
They do that, but only when they hit a home run. So we'll see. Hopefully that doesn't happen very much this weekend. Giga Mags. We'll talk next week, Sharif.
All right, I can't believe you say that. All right.
Look, I'm trying to make the tournament. That's Sharif Ishak, WDSU down in New Orleans. I'll wear a full A&M Yell Leader suit if it takes me getting into the NCAA tournament in baseball. Like, that's just the way it goes. Sometimes your team doesn't take care of its own business, so you need somebody else to help you out. I need Texas A&M to help me out. So I'm fully committed and indoctrinated into the Yell Leader culture for the weekend, and we'll be gigging them. We'll be blowing bubbles. We'll be swaying. We'll be sawing the varsity's horns off. We'll go to the Dixie Chicken. We'll put on our Texas A&M class ring. We'll get, what else? Reveille the dog. I'm out of things, but I'll do all of those things for the Aggies.
To be fair, that was quite a bit of stuff you named there, so it's kind of concerning how much of that you knew.
Yeah, it is concerning a little bit, but it is what it is. I don't know a lot about movies or music or politics or geography or anything. I know some things about the SEC. So we'll stick to that, including a quarterback that used to play in the SEC being cleared for action in the NFL. We'll talk about that. You might like it. It's next.
You are now listening to The Hunt Palmer Show.
One Bath and Closets. OneBathAndClosets.com is the website. David Duvall and his team, 30 years redesigning and remodeling bathrooms and closets. Safety is such a big issue in the bathroom, especially for those that are aging or loved ones that are aging. If you have fear of someone in your life that may be in danger in the bathroom, it's going to be a dangerous place, let David Duvall and his team come in and put some safety precautions and measures in place, whether it's a non-slip floor, handrails in the toilet, shower, bathtub areas. You can put a walk-in tub that's more convenient and safer for the aging loved one in your life, or put a bench in the shower that can help as well. David Duvall and his team do that kind of stuff all the time, and if that's something that can help a loved one in your life stay at home a little bit longer, why not look into that? You can go to onebathandclosets.com, request that free consultation, look at pictures of their great work, see the reviews from their satisfied clients. That consultation is free, and if you're concerned about paying for these types of things, financing options are always available for the clients over there at One Bath and Closets. Check it out online, onebathandclosets.com.
In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
When it comes to ending cancer, we push forward, always working together for you. That's why our cancer experts at Ochsner have clinically integrated with MD Anderson Cancer Center. This means advanced cancer care, including access to life-saving clinical trials and integrating care to treat the whole you. Introducing Ochsner MD Anderson Cancer Center. Long live you.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial property. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local. So call today at 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
Yo, Jake here from my friends over at Community Steel Company located in Gonzales, Louisiana. The local place you can turn to for all of your metal building needs. Notice I said local, not Houston, not Dallas, not Atlanta, but right here in Gonzales. Visit them at their brand new state-of-the-art website at communitysteelco.com or pick up the phone and give them a call today to answer all of your questions on your metal buildings, roofing and sheet metal, and any other steel needs you or your business need at 225-647-2020.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving.
Charles join us for the Wednesday edition of Live at Lunch from Modesto, Burbank at Nicholson. Scott Rabelais will be with us. Also, Wes Reynolds from VEASAN and professional sports handicapper Randy McKay. Live at Lunch, 11 a.m. Wednesday on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Plucker's Wing Bar.
Usually in July every year, I take 1 week off. And this past July, I had a big family vacation, went over to the beach. And I still recall sitting there on the beach, enjoying a beverage, listening to some tunes with the fam, taking some time off. My brother-in-law looked over and said, Burrow got carted off the field today in July. I was like, you got to be kidding me. Sure enough, he was. It was a strained calf, and he re-injured it in week 2. He couldn't practice. They got off to another terrible start. Then he hurt his wrist, and you know the story of last year in Cincinnati. It was not very good. And unfortunately now, Joe Burrow's got a bit of an injury history. You've got last season, which was severely compromised by injury. Then you've got 2 years ago, which wasn't an injury. It was an appendectomy that made him miss some training camp. And then, of course, he tore his ACL in his first year in the NFL. So you're looking at this, and Joe's been hurt a lot, and they've got to keep him healthy there in Cincinnati. The good news is that Ben Baby from ESPN reporting that Bengals quarterback Joe Burrow marked a major offseason milestone on Monday as the team started the second phase of voluntary workouts. Burrow was in uniform and throwing a pass in a video shared by the team. One thing I did not know about the Bengals and Joe Burrow, the quarterback coach in Cincinnati is Brad Cragthorpe, who, of course, Steve's son, who played at LSU. And Brad Cragthorpe told the team that he was pleased with how Burrow looked in his first practice back. Said he looked like the Joe Burrow we're used to seeing. Didn't have any difference. Thought the ball came out of his hand well. Confidently, I'm happy with where he's at. And really, what you have to have happen here is Joe needs to practice the entirety of training camp. Like, he's missed 2 training camps in his time in Cincinnati, and both times they have come out of the gate incredibly poorly in terms of their offense. It's just been bad, and that's something that they've got to get fixed, because in that conference, if you're trying to do anything, you really would prefer it if Patrick Mahomes had to come to your ball yard, and that's not the case if you get off to a terrible start, because Kansas City's not going 9-8. They're not going 10-7. Like, they're going to win 11, 12, 13 games, and you've got to try to keep up with that. And I think there's every expectation that the Bengals can do that if Joe can play in 17 games. Now, you got to deal with the Bills, who are, I think, we're in a big-time reset. You got to deal with Baltimore, who was the top seed last year. You got to deal with Miami. And now I think there's reason to believe that Houston could be a team that you've got to deal with as well. But Cincinnati should be in that discussion. They need Joe Burrow healthy. That goes without saying. They've still invested a ton in their offensive line. Did so again with Amarius Mims in the first round this year. It's going to be a little bit different now without the key core of receivers outside of Jamar Chase. You've got some guys requesting trades and guys that have moved on, and you've got to pay Joe Burrow, and Jamar Chase's bill is coming up here very soon. So they're going to have a massive amount of their salary cap invested in Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase at some point very, very soon. Joe's already got his bag, and Jamar's is coming very quickly. So they're going to have to be the dudes on that team, because without them, you just don't have the roster that you could when your quarterback was on a rookie deal. So it's great news that Joe has been cleared, great news that he's suited up, great news that he's out there practicing, but he needs to be healthy through Labor Day, because we've seen what that looks like when he doesn't practice, and it's not very good. So fired up that Joe will be back. That helps me out on my Sundays. I very much enjoy watching the Bengals when he's out there. Me, longtime Bengals supporter here, Hunt Palmer, who's been a diehard for over 4 years with the Bengals. I don't watch when he gets hurt and doesn't play anymore. I'm out. I didn't watch a second of the Bengals when Joe Burrow got hurt last year. I don't even know who the quarterback is when he left. I don't even remember who was out there. I remember it was somebody I'd never heard of, and I remember that they actually won a few games. But when he's out of there, I'm out. So we'll see. I'm going to be watching some Washington games this year.
You're really not a Bengals fan then. You're just a Joe Burrow fan. You're just a Joe Burrow fan.
A diehard Bengals fan as long as Joe's playing.
You're a Joe Burrow fan. You're like the LeBron James fans that only they don't care about the team. You just care about the player.
That's correct.
That's what you are.
I am. I'm also a Washington fan now. I'm just a huge
you're
Washington
not.
fan.
You're not.
Diehard Washington
What are you going to
fan.
do? Okay, knock on wood. Jaden Daniels gets hurt. You're not watching them play.
I'm not watching them play. No, I'm not going to watch any of that. Not going to watch the Cincinnati Bengals if Joe's not out there either. Shout out Jamar, stud. Get out there and get after it. But I'm tied to those two guys. I've had so much fun when the Bengals have been good. The 2 playoff runs they've gone on with Joe have been a blast. But when he gets hurt, I'm out. I'm going to probably go in the backyard and play t-ball with Myers. Probably going to go play some golf or something. Not going to be locked in. But when Joe's playing, I'm in. Hooday, baby. Bengals Nation. Skyline Chili. I've now really endorsed Texas A&M and the Cincinnati Bengals in the last
you have
in the last 10 minutes. So that's that's something here as we venture into the first week of May. Joe Burrow ready to roll. All right, that's it for hour number 1 here on a Tuesday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. Always remind you that our Tuesday shows are brought to you by Pluckers. Get on by Pluckers, Nicholson, just south of campus, Bluebonnet Mall of Louisiana. Breggie's Creole Crush, the new sauce. Been telling you about it all baseball season long. Alex Bregman has his own brand of seasonings and spices, and Pluckers has adopted it for the Breggie's Creole Crush. I will tell you, it is fantastic. Got a little bit of heat to it, got a lot of flavor to it. Not a ton of heat. I'm not a huge heat guy, but it's really, really good. Get on by tonight for Plucker Sports Trivia. We'll fire things up about 8:30. It's always a good time, so grab a team. Come on out, win some gift cards, drink some cold beers, eat some delicious award-winning jumbo chicken wings at Pluckers on Nicholson, 8:30 Sports Trivia. If you missed any of the first hour, catch it on demand, 1045ESPN.com's on-demand tab, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, wherever you find your sound, you can find us. Just search Hunt Palmer Show. Opened up the show with the news that Andrus Peat is signing with the Las Vegas Raiders, and I'm also very proud of myself for saying Las Vegas every single time when I've been talking about the Raiders for the last hour. What does that mean for the New Orleans Saints, and what was the legacy of Andrus Peat over his near decade in New Orleans? I talked about all that. You can find it on YouTube at Hunt on Saints. LSU point spreads from the folks out in Las Vegas on about 6 of the games. I went through some of those at 1:15. You can find that on YouTube at Hunt on LSU. Sharif Ishak was with us in this hour as well. When we come back after Sports Center, some sound from Jay Johnson as they get ready for Northwestern State. Also got some SEC football power rankings post-spring that I want to get to. All that's coming after Sports Center in hour number 2 of the Hunt Palmer Show.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
Bayou Ford has the new inventory to get you in a new Ford truck or SUV today, or customize your next vehicle just the way you want it. All new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile powertrain warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
Farming is a way of life for us. It's not something we get up in the morning and dread going do. It's just something we go to bed at night looking forward to getting up to go do. John Deere equipment is what we as farmers strive to have. It's in your blood, it's in your veins. It's just a part of who you are. Green is what we want to be in. The other tractors were acquired to patch it up to get to where you want to be. Where we want to be is in John Deere. Flip the switch and learn more about what it means to be powered by sunshine at sunequip.com.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared toward seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood Subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
Brack teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. BRAC, your #1 park system in the nation.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Christine Lisi. The Cavaliers could be without starting center defensive anchor Jared Allen for the second-round NBA playoff series opener against the Celtics tonight, listed as questionable with a rib injury. 2 MVP finalists face off tonight in Game 1. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and the Thunder versus Luka Doncic and the Mavericks, 9 Eastern, ESPN Radio. Still waiting for word from the NBA if a fine or suspension's coming the way of Nuggets guard Jamal Murray. He tossed a heating pad onto the floor during live action in the second quarter of last night's loss to the Timberwolves. ESPN NBA analyst Jay Williams.
I feel like he should be suspended for a game. That was an inch away from Karl Anthony Towns planting his right foot right on that thing. That could have hurt him. He could have been out of the game. I understand it's not precedent, but I think that was such an immature move by Jamal Murray, and that could have been a really hurtful, nasty thing to happen.
The crew chief said after the game that Murray should have been called for a technical foul. Denver's down 2-0. Game 3 is Friday. Edmonton's Connor McDavid, Colorado's Nathan MacKinnon, Tampa Bay's Nikita Kucherov, finalists for NHL regular season MVP.
As humans, we like having options. One option you might like is speaking with a real person when you call about your credit card. With 24/7 live, U.S.-based customer service from Discover, everyone can talk to a real person anytime, day or night. Limitations apply. See terms at discover.com/credit card.
Ladies and gentlemen, may I direct your attention to something quite extraordinary?
Now, the Hunt Palmer Show. The Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studios. This is Hunt Palmer.
Hour number 2, Hunt Palmer Show, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge on this Tuesday. Appreciate you hanging out with us here in the capital city, wherever you may be accessing us. We certainly appreciate you making us part of your day. Got a lot to get to in hour number 2, including some SEC football post-spring power rankings, courtesy of CBSSports.com. Where does LSU fall in that pecking order? We'll let you know. And as you do know now, that's now 16 teams in the power rankings because Texas and Oklahoma officially part of the SEC as we talk about football from this sense. Not yet in baseball, but for football, they're in. We'll talk about that coming up next. Jay Johnson had his coach's show that he has weekly with the voice of the Tigers, Chris Blair, over at TJ Ribs last night, and had a few interesting things to say about some various topics that I want to get to here. And the first was about his team's approach as they hit this home stretch and try to find their way into postseason play.
It's been as good as it could be with the situation that we were in a few weeks ago. And I think they've modeled exactly what myself and the coaching staff have wanted to in terms of sense of urgency, enthusiasm, confidence. And I think we've matured a lot in the last 3 weeks as well. I think there's some situations that played out over Friday and Saturday night that we looked like, we were playing to our capability and under control at those tipping point moments in the game that maybe, 5 weeks ago we weren't quite as good at. And that's a good sign of growth, of improvement, and necessary, to win the way we want to win here against the competition that we're playing.
Look, I can't speak to the team's approach day to day. I don't know. I'm not there. I'm not at practice. I'm not in the locker room. I'm not at study hall. I'm not in the team ping pong room. I'm not on the flights. I'm not in meetings. I don't know how they've responded. I do think that it's evident that they've played hard. I do think that it's evident that they have played with some emotion. And I do think that it's evident that they've dug themselves out of a massive hole. It's when you start thinking about having to win 5 weekends in a row, that's very difficult to see come to fruition because your margin for error is almost none. And so when you're sitting there after the Tennessee series going, you got to win 5 weekends in a row, like that is really, really daunting. A lot of stuff has to go your way for that to work. Now that you've got 3 in the rearview mirror, it feels more attainable. Like, you can win 2 weekends in a row. You've dug yourself to a place where you can at least see the finish line. They could come crashing down this weekend and lose all 3 to Alabama, and you're cooked. Now you're fighting to find a way to Hoover. But they have managed to fight themselves to a point where it feels doable. As far as, like, has anything significantly changed with them over the last 3 weeks? I would suggest no. Gage Jump has been huge. They've won all 3 of his outings where previously they were not winning his outings. It was basically Holman and Herring, and that was all they could do for 5 weeks. And so Jump has been a big help. And the emergence of Ashton Larson has been big. Christian Little has contributed positively to 2 wins. And I think Alex Milazzo has stabilized some things behind the plate. But as far as like big sweeping changes that have happened, no. I think you've gotten a couple hits here or there. You've played the 2 worst teams in the SEC. Jump's been a little bit better, and Larson's provided a spark. And that's kind of where you are. I mean, you were 1 swing away from losing either Friday or Saturday. Now, you got it done in a way that you didn't get it done in some games earlier against Florida and Mississippi State and some of those others. But it's not like there's some massive difference. They've just found a way to win a couple games that they were losing earlier in the season. And Jay talked about the good fortune that they got playing Texas A&M.
Yeah, that was great. And I talk with Coach Burtman all the time. I've probably mentioned this on this show, and he talks about, having good fortune. And a couple weeks ago, he's like, there's these things going on, but you haven't had a lot of good fortune. And their third baseman throwing the ball away. When something like that happens, I immediately think about it. It's like, thank you, Coach. There it is. And I don't quite have his magic yet to, move those things. But we got a break there, and we really, really needed a break and to get the game back tied after them hitting a couple home runs. Again, I think allowed the players to just settle down and play instead of feeling like we have to do too much or we're chasing, 2 or 3 runs, anymore. And he ran hard. Of all the baseball skill that Tommy White has, hit with power. He's an exceptional third baseman. Running speed's probably the last thing you think about, but he's running fast down that line.
And you'll take it. And quite frankly, I think of the 4 sports that we cover closely here, I think we cover college football, college basketball, college baseball, and the NFL most closely. We'll mention the NBA here and there. We'll mention women's basketball here and there. We'll mention Major League Baseball here and there. But those are the ones that we cover the most closely here on this show, and more so this station. College baseball, I think more than any of the other 3, you can allow for the other team to make huge mistakes. Like in college, in football, NFL or college football, like it's more so how big, how fast, how strong, how physical you are, and then in kind of executing. Like massive mistakes do happen, but not as often as in college baseball. College pitchers walk a lot of guys. They hit a lot of guys. College infielders kick a lot of ground balls. College outfielders make some boneheaded plays. Base running can be an issue here and there, like just more so. There are plenty of mistakes in college basketball. Plenty of mistakes on Sundays when the Saints are playing the Panthers. But college baseball more so allows for the big mistake. And while it is fortunate that you get them to make that mistake and you didn't have a ton to do with it, there's something to be said for you not doing it when they do it. And I thought LSU's defense was better than Texas A&M's over the weekend. And I thought their pitching staff did a better job until Sunday in the late innings of throwing strikes and not making wild pitches. A&M was walking guys, making errors left and right. They threw 2 massive wild pitches on Saturday, and LSU didn't do that. And so while I think there's 2 sides of that coin, one is, yeah, it's great and you're fortunate that A&M did do that, but the other side of the coin is you didn't. You kind of made some plays. And then when you didn't, like Braswell kicked a couple on Saturday, you picked yourself up and got out of things. So I was thrilled that LSU got some good fortune because, as I said yesterday on the show, if A&M comes into the box and plays their A game, you're in big trouble because they're better than you. Got a better lineup, got a deeper pitching staff, better bullpen. Like, if they play as good as they can play, big trouble. But teams don't always do that. And it's why Tennessee's team 2 years ago didn't make it to Omaha because they played poorly against Notre Dame. It's why Arkansas 3 years ago didn't make it to Omaha because that Kevin Kopps team that won the SEC screwed up, lost in the regional to NC State. Like, it happens. Sometimes you just don't play great. And A&M didn't play great, and LSU did take advantage of that. One of the guys that did play great was Christian Little, and Jay Johnson had this to say about his senior right-hander.
And that's about 5 really good outings in a row, you know, if you follow our team closely. And we've made a few adjustments, and, man, they've really taken off. And really, really happy with his performance. And that completely was the difference in us winning the series against the number 1 team in the country, was his performance on Saturday night. And I'm proud of the execution, but I don't know if I've mentioned it on this show. You know, when things weren't going great, you know, he was a guy that was really, really consistent for our team as a person. You know, it's like, Coach, what can I do to make sure we stay together and be a good example for the younger guys? And people don't see that. So I like to talk about that. So when a guy is that invested in the team, even though it's not going great for him or the team, I really like to see them have individual success. And his individual success was the reason we won the series this week. And what a performance. I mean, that was electric and I think totally indicative of his talent. And it's great to see him pitching better than he ever has in his career right now.
This is twofold for Christian Little. I'll take the person part first with Jay Johnson. For those that aren't fully aware, Christian Little was Kevin Gausman, Dylan Cruz. Christian Little was Leonard Fournette. Like, he was thought of as maybe the best high school pitcher in the country for his age. And when you are thought of in that way, you've got dollar signs in front of you from Major League Baseball out of high school. You've got everybody in college baseball wanting your services with big scholarship money numbers. And you're thought to have monster success. And Christian Little, for 4 years, has not. Now, he early enrolled, put himself in college at 17, created some of that adversity, and then ended up having to transfer out of Vanderbilt, and then came to LSU and lost his job as the closer and became a mop-up duty guy. Y'all know that part of the story. But, like, you know how mentally tough that's got to be? I've never been a superstar like that. I don't know what that would feel like, but I've got an inkling as to how it would feel to feel like you're that dude, and then 4 years into your college career have had almost no success. And to still bring a positive attitude every single day to be engaged in part of your team is incredible. And Christian Little, you can go back and look at the highlights from last year's run. He's always the first guy out of the dugout, the first guy going through the high-five lines when LSU wins games, first guy out to give the pitcher that's coming out a high-five. Like, he's always been like that. And that's really hard to do when you're not having the success that you thought you would have really your whole life. And the second part of this is I'm comfortable going to Christian Little in the biggest spots LSU will have the rest of the way. Because you can fake it as a pitcher in baseball. You can have guys just miss and pop up, fly out to the warning track, hit missiles right at the third baseman, and have an awesome line score. Like, you can do that here and there. You can't do it every time out, but you can fake it for 2 or 3 outings as a pitcher, making mistakes and having guys not capitalize because of the variance and unpredictability of the batted baseball. Sometimes guys hit it 108 miles an hour right at the shortstop. Some guys hit it 42 miles an hour, and it's an infield squib or single. So you can fake it. Christian Little's not faking it. Christian Little is missing bats. He's throwing a cutter and a slider. He's throwing a breaking ball. He's throwing 97 miles an hour. He's throwing strikes. He's not walking guys. He's getting strikeouts. And he's doing it against the Southeastern Conference, not the Southland on Tuesdays. He's not faking this. I'm not telling you Christian Little's not going to give up a run the rest of his time. What I'm telling you is I think for the purposes of this team in the next 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, he has turned a little bit of a corner. And I trust him as much as anybody coming out of that bullpen, not named Griffin Herring, to get huge outs. And that's not something I was prepared to say 3 weeks ago. It's a great, great story, and I'm thrilled for Christian Little and hope that he continues over the next couple of weeks. He's going to get the ball in a big spot coming up this weekend. Hopefully it goes as well as it has been going for him over the last 3 weeks. All right, our baseball breakdowns all season long are brought to you by Pluckers. Nicholson just out the campus, Bluebonnet in front of the Mall of Louisiana. When we come back, let's look at some college football, SEC post-spring power rankings. Where does CBS Sports think LSU slots in the Southeastern Conference? That's next.
You are now listening to The Hunt Palmer Show.
Visit us at LeBear's Baton Rouge Casino this spring for all the hoops and hockey playoff action. We got the biggest screens. That's good. Best food and drink. That's good. Plus, giving away Penn cash bonuses and prizes to Penn Play Rewards members. That's awesome. You're not a member? That's okay. Join today by downloading and registering for the Penn Play app from the App Store and unlock all the fun, including a chance to win up to $2,000 in Penn cash. All this and more. Make LeBear's Baton Rouge Casino your spring sports viewing headquarters. Must be 21 or older. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-522-4700.
Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
The best kept secret in town is out. Discover Tallulah at the Renaissance Hotel on Bluebonnet.
When it comes to ending cancer, we push forward, always working together for you. That's why our cancer experts at Ochsner have clinically integrated with MD Anderson Cancer Center. This means advanced cancer care, including access to life-saving clinical trials and integrating care to treat the whole you. Introducing Ochsner MD Anderson Cancer Center. Long live you.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial property. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local. So call today at 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
Yo, Jake here from my friends over at Community Steel Company located in Gonzales, Louisiana. The local place you can turn to for all of your metal building needs. Notice I said local, not Houston, not Dallas, not Atlanta, but right here in Gonzales. Visit them at their brand new state-of-the-art website at communitysteelco.com or pick up the phone and give them a call today to answer all of your questions on your metal buildings, roofing and sheet metal, and any other steel needs you or your business need at 225-647-2020.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly...
Matt Moscona inviting you to join us for Tuesday's AFR, powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana. Shea Dixon stops by for his weekly visit, and we'll preview LSU Northwestern State from the box. Join us 3 to 6, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
While you're busy with spring cleaning, we'd like to add to the clutter in your bank account to the tune of $2,000. It's the 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge Spring Cha-Ching, powered by Citizens Bank and Trust. Register today. Tomorrow is the deadline at 1045ESPN.com.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Plucker's Wing Bar.
So transition back over to football. CBSSports.com had a story they put out earlier today, courtesy of Will Backus. And he's got post-spring SEC football power rankings. And I just wanted to kind of go through and see where he had some teams slotted. Understand that we'll get deeper into this discussion as we get to SEC Media Days in Dallas coming up in July. But it appears that he's basically, I didn't see anything here that shocked me. I think we kind of understand how most people feel about most of the teams and programs in the Southeastern Conference, and he's not rocking the boat a ton here. He basically says there are two teams vying for the top spot. He picked Georgia as the top. Texas is the other team. If you listened to our interview with Blake Brockermeyer last week, when he was talking about some of this, he said that he thought those two teams were in the top tier. I think the discussion around Georgia is different this time around because Georgia has a real schedule this year. Last year, you looked at that, and yeah, Ole Miss started playing better at the end. Missouri was better than we thought, and they did play Tennessee there late. But you took Oklahoma off their schedule, and it was pretty weak. This year, I still think Georgia's going to be favored every time they take the field, but they've got some real speed bumps in front of them that could be potential trouble. It's Clemson in Atlanta to open the season. They do go to Tuscaloosa to play Alabama. They do go to Austin to play Texas. They do go to Oxford to play Ole Miss. Tennessee comes to Athens to play them. So those are games against solid programs and teams. Some of which, three of those are away from Sanford Stadium. So I think there's reason to believe that they could trip up here or there, but I think we'd all be pretty floored if they weren't in an expanded playoff. Texas comes in at number 2. The blurb here reads, if Georgia's explainer wasn't enough of a hint, we anticipate that Texas will assimilate well to its new dig. Steve Sarkisian has built this roster into a powerhouse, and they had a breakthrough last year with a run to the college football playoff. Quinn Ewers back as the starting quarterback, loads of talent to work with. Defense has some key areas to replace, notably both interior defensive line spots and both starting boundary corners, but there's reason to believe they'll be serviceable enough. I think a lot of people are just putting a lot of eggs in the fact that Texas has had very good recruiting classes. Quinn Ewers is back. Steve Sarkisian is thought of as a really good play caller. They'll figure out the rest. Number 3 is not Alabama. It's Ole Miss. And this is going to be common, I think. I think a lot of people are going to suggest that Ole Miss is better than Alabama. And I think a lot of that has to do with Jackson Dart and this transfer portal class that everybody is in love with. I'm just going to sit back and wait to see it. I have said many, many times on this show that I think that Lane Kiffin is a really scary guy to play against in terms of the way that he can call plays. I think Jackson Dart played better last year than I thought he would entering last season. Last year, I was down on Ole Miss entering the season. Why? Because they lost 5 of their last 6, including the Egg Bowl. And I just thought, you know what? Maybe Lane Kiffin's not going to build a solid team. They're not going to play very good defense. But Pete Golding kind of fixed that a little bit last year, and they did play great on offense, and they brought in a lot of guys spending some money in the transfer portal. So a lot of people are going to feel like Ole Miss is number 3. I'll need to see it, and I truly hope they fall flat on their face. I think that would be hilarious. You got Bama at 4. Jalen Milroe is back. A lot of guys that left town when Nick Saban decided to hang them up. Caleb Downs being the biggest name there. Caden Proctor was, and he decided to come back, so you got that. But I think that I speak for everyone who's listening here that's not draped in crimson and white. How funny is this melt going to be if they lose 3 games? Like, how humorous can things get? I have talked about the guy who follows the guy for over a decade. And I have said for over a decade the same thing. Now, I didn't know they were going to span the playoff, so it doesn't equate anymore. But my line had always been, the next guy is going to be so excited to come into Alabama. He's going to put that Crimson A on. The $1 million band's going to lead him out in Bryant-Denny Stadium in front of 100,000. And if he goes 10-2 and wins the Sugar Bowl, they will try to run him flat out of town. Now, that was before the playoffs, and now 10-2, I think, gets you into the playoff. So you'd have to go 9-3 now, which I don't think drives the point home just as much. But if Kalen DeBoer has coached 3 seasons in Tuscaloosa and he's lost a total of 6 games and hasn't played in the national championship game, everyone in that state is going to despise him. That's the point. They believe that their right is to beat everyone and win the national championship. They don't understand that Nick is the reason this happened. I'm not too old to remember Mike Shula. I am not too old to remember Dennis Francione. Okay? It can happen. Everybody's fallen off a cliff here or there. USC did, Texas did, Miami did, LSU did. Tennessee still hadn't gotten back. They're not immune to this. And we're maybe not there, and maybe Kalen DeBoer is the next great dude. But I'm just holding out hope that 9-3 happens and we can listen to Feinbaum, because that's going to be popcorn worthy. Got Missouri at number 5. A lot of people feeling really good about Eli Drinkwitz's team. You got Brady Cook back. You've obviously got Luther Burden. Tennessee's at 6. You move on from Joe Milton. Nico Iamaleava is going to be the quarterback there, 5-star guy that they've been really high on in Knoxville for a long time. And that's what brings us to LSU at number 7. The blurb here reads, replacing a Heisman Trophy winner is hard. Replacing a Heisman Trophy winner with a guy that has just 1 start in 3 years at LSU would normally cause some consternation. But man, it's really hard not to be excited about Garrett Nussmeier. Though the few tantalizing glimpses we've gotten him since he signed with the Tigers in 2021, Nussmeier seems to have all the tools necessary to succeed at this level. He's got a great frame, poise, immense arm strength, accuracy at every level. Nussmeier love aside, LSU's ceiling is significantly lowered by a defense that constantly let it down last season and faces some major questions ahead of 2024. I think that's pretty fair. I'm super excited about Garrett Nussmeier. I'm kind of petrified about defense. I think that my college football calendar of optimism is going to set in for me too with this defense, and I'll talk myself into thinking they'll make it work, and it's not going to be a top 10 defense in the country, but they'll be top 45 and they'll win a lot of games. Like I'll probably work myself into that frenzy in August, and I'm confident when I get on the plane to go to Vegas that I'll think they're going to be phenomenal and beat USC by 20. That's just the way the calendar works. As I sit here in May, I'm not too stubborn, too man to say, I don't really know about this defense. So I think it's fair, and I think the spot at 7 is probably fair. I think LSU could work its way up to 3 or 4. I think they could fall down to 8 or 9 if things go really south of the defense. We'll see. Got Oklahoma at 8, Kentucky at 9, Texas A&M at 10. I got a lot of heat in the first hour, and I said I thought that the line of Texas A&M being favored over LSU made some sense. I still think that it did. I think that Connor Wigman is good, and I think A&M's probably better than the 10th team in the league, but they lost a lot, and it's year 1, and there's a lot to prove there, so we'll just kind of see. The good news for A&M from a schedule perspective, Texas comes to Kyle Field, LSU comes to Kyle Field, Notre Dame comes to Kyle Field, Alabama's not on the schedule. So it's a favorable schedule for Texas A&M. We'll just see how it shakes out. And then I think, Florida being down at 11, I don't know if I trust them ahead of Auburn. South Carolina, I think they're going to be bad, but Graham Mertz is okay, so maybe that makes some sense. They've got Florida at number 11, Auburn at 12, South Carolina at 13, Arkansas at 14, Mississippi State at 15, and Vanderbilt at 16. I'm very comfortable saying I'll be shocked if anybody finishes with a worse SEC record than Arkansas, Mississippi State, and Vanderbilt. We always pick Mississippi State to finish last in the old SEC West, and very rarely did they finish last in the old SEC West. But this team looks really rough. They've got to overhaul the entire offense again. I think Arkansas is going to be putrid, and Vanderbilt's always putrid, so that's pretty easy to wager on. So I think those 3 teams are the worst. How the shakeout is in the 5 or 6 teams ahead of them with Kentucky, A&M, Florida, Auburn, LSU, Oklahoma, Tennessee, that's maybe a little bit, and I'd put Missouri in that group as well, maybe a little bit more fascinating than the bottom of the barrel there. But if you want to see those power rankings, read all the blurbs, kind of get your feet wet from a football perspective, would suggest you check it out up at cbssports.com. It is from Will Backus, who I tried to get on today, but did not hear back from him earlier today. So when we come back, we'll get you ready for LSU and Northwestern State from the box. That's next.
You are now listening to The Hunt Palmer Show.
Every shot, every goal, ESPN Bet has fans covered for the biggest moments on the road to the championship. The exclusive sportsbook of ESPN is the only place to find special offers and promotions from your favorite ESPN shows and personalities throughout the playoffs. New users get a bet reset up to $1,000 in bonus bets if your first bet doesn't win. You heard that right. Bonus bet and a bet reset up to $1,000 if your first bet doesn't win. Download ESPN Bet today. What a play. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-522-4700 in partnership with the Bears Lake Charles. Terms and conditions apply. See app for details.
In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team. And backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Elevate brand visibility, ignite customer engagement with the power of radio and digital advertising combined. Guarantee Digital Media brings the two together as a trusted media partner in Louisiana for nearly a century. Claim your free digital audit at guaranteemedia.com.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood Subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered gold. Breck, your #1 park system in the nation.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs, even in the case of an after-hours emergency. The light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
At Relief Windows, we're more than windows. We're windows, doors, hardy plank, and vinyl siding. But our #1 product is always customer satisfaction.
Join us for the Wednesday edition of Live at Lunch from Modesto, Burbank at Nicholson. Scott Rabelais will be with us. Also, Wes Reynolds from VEASAN and professional sports handicapper Randy McKay. Live at Lunch, 11 a.m. Wednesday on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Plucker's Wing Bar.
Last midweek baseball contest of the season tonight at Alec Box Stadium, LSU and Northwestern State. Coming at you at 6:30 this evening. If you want to listen to it, you can find it on Eagle 98.1 at 6 o'clock pregame show. Boys of the Tigers, Chris Blair with Doug Thompson, Tigers and Demons on a Tuesday night. When they play these games in February and March, I often tell you that I'm just more concerned with watching how the team plays as opposed to what the result is. Yes, I would much prefer LSU win. You cannot go out there and lose 7 midweek games. You need to take care of your business. But here and there, you drop one, no big deal, just as long as I see some things that are positive as you work through a long season. Throw that crap right out the window tonight. Because you have not taken care of your business in Southeastern Conference play. You are 9-15. So you are now in a beauty contest for your life. And you need all the RPI points you can get. You can take care of that by winning 19 league games like you did last year. You do that, you lose 4 in the midweek, doesn't matter. You're fine. You've done enough against the top 50, done enough in SEC play to take care of your business. They have not done that to this point. So tonight, they need a win. You sit here today at number 34 in the RPI. You are behind Vanderbilt at 27, Ole Miss at 25, Florida at 23. All those teams, Bama at 14, you're in some sort of competition with for NCAA berths. Now, those 6 conference games are going to mean a lot, and we'll see. That is not a good recipe. The result tonight is of paramount importance. Now, what else do I want to see from LSU tonight? Number one, I'd like Michael Braswell to play a clean game at shortstop. Here's what I think. I don't know. I think mentally he's gun shy over there at shortstop. I think he's aware of the errors that have piled up. I think he's thinking about that when the ball's hit to him. And I'm not telling you that you can solve all of that over 2.5 hours against Northwestern State on a Tuesday. I'm telling you can make it worse if he kicks 2 ground balls. I need him to go to Tuscaloosa on Friday with a clean game in his rearview mirror. Doesn't have to make spectacular plays, the superstar play. Just make the routine plays and gain a little bit of confidence because we know Michael Braswell is going to be out there at shortstop on Friday. I'm going to talk about a couple other guys here that I'd like to see contribute tonight that may not play much over the weekend, but that I'd like to see them play tonight. The first is Brady Neal. I like Milazzo catching. I think he's done a good job. He's been good offensively. Had a huge hit to get some insurance runs on the board over the weekend, and I think he's your number one catcher right now. But there's a chance Brady Neal can help. He certainly hits left-handed where Milazzo does not. If you're facing a tough right-hander or feel like you might be in a game that gets real offensive, he might be a guy that you go to. I think they thought that on Sunday, that the game might be offensive. We need to get a guy in there that can swing the bat, and Brady Neal hit a 2-run home run on Sunday. Milazzo's never going to give you that. Maybe you need him off the bench in a big spot against a reliever. A little bit of confidence in these midweek games can go a long way. We know that Brady had a huge midweek game last week. We know that he had a big game offensively on Sunday. It's been a bumpy year. It's been a bumpy 2 years in terms of injuries for him. But that's a guy who, outside of the White, Jones, Larson crew that's been really good offensively, might be able to give you a little bit something else, and maybe he can gain some confidence tonight. So I'd like to see Brady Neal out there swinging the bat. And then from a pitching perspective, you've narrowed your pool of guys you trust to really tight numbers. It's Jump, it's Holman, it's Herring, it's Little, it's Ackenhausen, maybe it's Guidry, and after that, there's not a lot. And I think it's too late to expect some sort of radical transformation. But let's be pretty honest. Over the next 3 weeks, between 2 SEC weekends and a Southeastern Conference tournament, you cannot get by with just those 5 guys. Somebody has got to step up and get some outs. And I'm not ready to pin all that on Aiden Moffitt, even though I might. I'm not ready to pin all that on Cam Johnson. I'm not ready to pin all that on Justin Lohr. I need Thatcher Hurd to give me something. And right now he's not. And I think mentally he's probably fried. He came out there on Sunday, walked all 3 guys he faced. But there's something in there. And if I'm Jay Johnson and Nate Yeske, I'm sitting Thatcher Hurd in the team film room and running those Oregon State and Florida highlights on a repeat. You're going to sit here for 25 minutes and watch you dice up Oregon State in the regional, watch you dice up the national runner-up in the biggest game of your life. There's something in there, and it's going to have to come out at some point if LSU is going to survive this. I'm not talking about if they're going to make a run in Omaha to the national championship. I'm talking about they got to quit getting run ruled on Sundays. And Jump and Herring Jump Holman are not going to be available on Sunday this week, and Herring's probably not going to be available on Sunday. Maybe Ackenhausen is, maybe he's not. I don't know how much you can go. But you need somebody to show up and get some outs. I think Sam Dutton can help. Aiden Moffat's going to get an opportunity. Thatcher Hurd's done it before. I need something. So if they can just get him in there tonight for one inning, 14 pitches, no hits, a strikeout, no walks, I just get him a reset. Maybe I'm begging. Maybe I'm reaching. Maybe I'm asking for too much. I know what I've seen from him this year, and it hasn't been very good. But there's something in there. It's not like he can't do it. And I think the confidence has got to come back. I'm not asking him to get the last 3 outs tonight in a one-run game. Start him. Say, Thatcher, look, we're going to get you ready. You know when you're going to come in. Here are the 3 guys that are going to be at the top of their order. Here's how we want to attack them. And all I'm asking you for is 1 inning. And guess what? If it goes great, awesome. We're going to sit you down, and we'll see you in Tuscaloosa. If it goes terrible, fine. It's 1 inning. We'll catch up in the last 8. We got your back. Just go out there relaxed and pitch a little bit. I don't know where they get the rest of the outs from, whether it's Cade Anderson, if Laura wants to go back out there. Dutton, probably not available today because he pitched so much on Tuesday. Cam Johnson would be available. Guidry's available. Ackenhausen may be available. And you got to do what you can to win the game. But if we're just talking about things I'd like to see over the course of LSU playing this game the right way and winning it, those are 3 things I'm looking at. Braswell clean on defense. Brady Neal, whether it's DH or catching, big swing. And then Thatcher Hurd. Just give me something. It's in there. We need it very, very badly. It's LSU and Northwestern State tonight at 6:30 from the box. Our baseball breakdowns all season long brought to you by Pluckers. Get on by tonight for some sports trivia. Very much looking forward to being out there at 8:30. We'll be watching LSU baseball. We'll be watching the Cubs, NBA playoffs. Whatever you want to watch, it'll be on at Pluckers, and you can win some gift cards, drink some cold beers, and eat some award-winning jumbo chicken rings. Might I recommend Breggie's Creole Crush. We'll take one more time out. Come back and close things out on a Tuesday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show.
You are now listening to the Hunt Palmer Show.
Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
When it comes to ending cancer, we push forward, always working together for you. That's why our cancer experts at Ochsner have clinically integrated with MD Anderson Cancer Center. This means advanced cancer care, including access to life-saving clinical trials and integrating care to treat the whole you. Introducing Ochsner MD Anderson Cancer Center. Long live you.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial property. So retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local. So call today at 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
Yo, Jake here from my friends over at Community Steel Company located in Gonzales, Louisiana. The local place you can turn to for all of your metal building needs. Notice I said local, not Houston, not Dallas, not Atlanta, but right here in Gonzales. Visit them at their brand new state-of-the-art website at communitysteelco.com or pick up the phone and give them a call today to answer all of your questions on your metal buildings, roofing and sheet metal, and any other steel needs you or your business need at 225-647-2020.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Matt Moscona inviting you to join us for Tuesday's AFR, powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana. Shay Dixon stops by for his weekly visit, and we'll preview LSU Northwestern State from the box. Join us 3 to 6, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
The NBA playoffs continue on ESPN Radio. Tonight at 8:30, the Thunder host the Mavericks. Saturday at 7:30, the Cavs host the Celtics. And Sunday at 2:30, the Pacers host the Knicks. All right here on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Plucker's Wing Bar.
Yo, LSU gymnastics fans, I know you're out there. Huge opportunity coming up this Friday at Alumni Hall in Perkins Row. First of all, Alumni Hall in Perkins Row is fantastic. All your LSU gear, merchandise, tailgate supplies, clothing, everything you'd want is at Alumni Hall in Perkins Row. And they've got an autograph session set up for this coming Friday at 6 to 7 with Haley Bryant, Sierra Ballard, and Kaya Johnson, 3 national champion gymnasts with LSU Gymnastics. That's at Alumni Hall in Perkins Row this coming Friday from 6 to 7. No purchase required. It's all free. You just show up. They've got posters there they can sign. If you've got something you want the ladies to sign, they can do that for you. It's Haley Bryant, Sierra Ballard, and Kaya Johnson this Friday night, Perkins Row, Alumni Hall, 6 to 7. You will not want to miss that if you are an LSU gym fan. All right, Jacob Beck, let's play some Take It or Leave It.
All righty, first one here. According to a study, not sure what study it is, but experts are saying that showering every day is performative and not necessary. Take it or leave it.
Okay. This was a debate with my friends today. I've got a couple in my 10-man group text that believe this is true, that you really don't need to shower.
Okay, I think there's a lot of caveats that can be made here.
We have to determine what the word necessary means, because clearly it's not necessary. It's not a necessity if you don't shower every day. But I'm telling you that, like, my hair is completely unpresentable by 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Like, absolutely unpresentable. And if I were to go to sleep and then wake up and, like, put water on it, it would look greasy and flat and awful. And what are we just going to, like, cover up the stench with deodorant in the morning? Is that how we're going to deal with this?
Well, here's the thing. It's like, first of all, it depends on your hair. Your hair is important because some people's hair.
Yeah, if you got like curly hair that kind of sits up, like you can get away with it.
Yeah, and maybe your hair doesn't get greasy after a day of not showering. But also, it just depends on what you did that day. Like if you just went to the office, didn't do anything, went home, and you didn't you didn't sweat or anything like that. I can understand why maybe you say, okay, I'll just shower tomorrow. But if you if you were doing something active, or in Louisiana you sweat a lot, like you got to shower, okay?
I mean, I have to shower in the morning to get going, get the hair presentable and ready to roll.
Yeah.
And then I'm not allowed in the bed without a shower at night. So like that's just a non-starter for life. So I'll be looking for wife number 3 if I'm not showering at night. So we're not gonna dive into those waters. So it is gonna be necessary. Like I can't. You got to take a shower.
Yeah.
People, take a shower.
Yeah. All right, next one here. Former LSU Tiger Kevin Gossman reached 10 years of Major League service time today.
Yeah.
He's a top 10 Tiger MLB player. Take it or leave it.
I would take it. I mean, obviously Albert Bell is right there in that discussion, and there are a few others that have had really, really good careers. The Paul Birds of the world that pitched in that era. Mike Soraka had a really nice go as well.
Ben McDonald was pretty good.
Ben McDonald had a good run before he got hurt, and Bregman's been great, and Aaron Nola's been fantastic. Austin had a good run as well. Jake Fraley's in the middle of a nice run himself. But, DJ LeMay's a batting champion for sure. I'm going to leave people out here because there's too many to get to. But I would suggest, Kevin Gossman is a top 10 LSU MLBer ever. He's led the league in strikeouts a couple different times. He's a good one, for sure. So I also love Kevin. He was at the Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame deal back in January that I was there doing some work for, and I got a chance to catch up with him a little bit. I covered him right out of school, and he was like 3 years younger than me, but I was still covering him, and he remembered, and we struck up a good conversation. He's a great dude and hell of a pitcher. He's had a great go of it.
All right, next one here. Austin Rivers says he could take 30 NBA players and throw them in the NFL. You can't take 30 NFL guys and put them in the NBA. But first of all, I want to know, did he actually think of 30 NBA players, or did he just say 30 random players?
No, I heard the bite. He just said, he was like, this is the best athletes in the world. I could do it. And I do believe that I could find a couple of NBA guys that could go play in the NFL because they're big and they're fast and they're strong and they can jump and catch and have and I think you could find a tight end or wide receiver here and there in the NBA, and I think that their ability to score in the NBA and NFL guys would have real trouble trying to do that. So on the face of it, I think it's a reasonable thing to head that direction. Getting to 30 is
That's a lot.
insane. That's insane. I mean, just to say, just grab anybody from the NBA, they can go play wide receiver is ridiculous. I watched Trent Richardson couldn't play in the NFL. So, that's ridiculous. Jordan, you got some thoughts on this take from old Austin Rivers?
Oh, I mean, see, me and my friends been going at it all day about it, and I just find it ridiculous.
It is.
It's ridiculous. 30 of them? Do they understand how physically demanding it is to play professional football? And I was like, okay, professional? What about SEC, Big Ten? You can't. These NBA players be sitting out for headaches, sore thumbs, and all this. Come on, man. NFL players, they are going out there dying on the field. It's levels. It's levels.
All right, next one here. Former MLB second-rounder Monty Harrison is joining the Arkansas football team after 10 years in baseball. Harrison, now 28, was a four-star recruit out of high school in 2014 and had offers from Arkansas, Nebraska, Kentucky, and Michigan State. Being a 28-year-old freshman football player, take it or leave it.
I'll take it. He made it up to the big leagues. Now he's going to play a little football. I think they're going to have an atrocious record. I've been on the record for that, and I'm not going to come off that. I don't think Arkansas is going to be good at all. But yeah, you only live once. Zach Von Rosenberg went back and did this had a nice little run at it. So I don't know if this guy can play at all. But look, if you want to do it, you got to do it now. That's the end of the line. So Chris Winkie did it. Matt Malk did it. Obviously, Josh Booty did it. He's not the first, and so I'll be curious to see how that goes.
All right, last one here. This one's been in the headlines today. Nuggets guard Jamal Murray was seen throwing a heating pad and also a towel on the court. The towel didn't make it on the court because luckily for him, one of the ball boys saw it and pulled it off the court before anyone could step on it. But anyways, the Nuggets lost. They're down 2-0 in the series. Obviously, Murray's frustrated, but should he be suspended? Take it or leave it?
Leave it. You would have had to suspend Patrick Beverley for throwing a basketball at fans. Even I, who hate technical fouls and hate ejections with a passion, you can't throw stuff at the fans. There is a line, and he's passed it. Jamal Murray, if it was January, yeah, I'd suspend him a game. I'm not doing it now.
Okay.
I can't do it in the playoffs.
I just think this is a situation where it could have been a lot worse because that heating pad was really close to, I think it was Karl-Anthony Towns almost stepped on it. If he steps on that and rolls his ankle,
then we got a problem.
Then we have a serious problem. But that's the thing. It's like, are you going to punish someone for what could have happened?
Yes. I'm going to punish them for what actually happened.
Okay, that's
at this point in the schedule.
Yeah.
I need the players out there. Like that is the sport. And I don't like college basketball fouling guys out after 5 fouls because I want the players out there. I hate technical fouls and ejections because I want the guys out there, and I don't want to suspend him for this. If it was January, I would do it. Right now, you want to fine him $200K for being a moron? Fine. But I can't. He has to play in the game. That's the most important thing to me, is that players play in the game. And I get a lot of people pushing back that it's a privilege to play in the game and you cross the line. I want the players to play. I'm going to land on that until I can't anymore. And I can't with Patrick Beverly. We're throwing balls at people in the stands. You got to sit. That's ridiculous. But you're getting in fist fights. We got to sit. There are things that you can do that will trigger me to say, okay, now we have to draw the line. The guy being immature and upset is not going to get there for me there. So now if Karl-Anthony Towns gets hurt, okay, we'll have to deal with that, and we'll have to levy a suspension because that's your actions had consequences, and now we'll deal with it. We're lucky that didn't happen, so everybody move on. Tuesday show is brought to you by Plucker's Wing Bar. We'll be at Plucker's Trivia tonight at 8:30. If you missed any of the show today, catch it on demand, 1045ESPN.com's on-demand tab. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, wherever you find your sound, you can find us, and certainly you can find us on YouTube as well. Andrus, Peat, moving on. What does that mean for the Saints? Got some LSU football point spreads that we got into. You can find those on our YouTube channels, Hunt on LSU, Hunt on Saints. Thanks to Sharif Ishak for stopping by as well. LSU and Northwestern State tonight. We're talking about it tomorrow. Have a great Tuesday night, everybody. Hope to see you at Pluckers. If not, same time, same place tomorrow. That's going to drive you home on AFR. It's the Hunt Palmer Show.
He's here. Anyone want a Coors Light?
Oh, shoot, I forgot to play the song. I got a guy who can fix this.